let's just dive right into this explainer, okay? Today, we are totally deconstructing the exact science of holding human attention in what is, let's face it, a absolutely brutal digital landscape. I mean, we exist in this wild attention economy where people are spending roughly 7 hours a day glued to their devices, just getting relentlessly bombarded with information. Earning, and more importantly, keeping their focus, it's a literal science. So today, we're going to break down exactly how you can master it using a mix of cinematic storytelling, algorithmic strategy, and basic human psychology. Because we've all had that gut-sinking feeling, right? You post something, you're super hyped by that initial traction, those first few likes and comments are rolling in, and then boom, 2 days later, complete crickets. The views just die out of nowhere. It feels so random. It kind of feels like the algorithm is out to get you. But actually, scratch that, it's not random at all. There is a very specific mechanical reason this keeps happening, and once you understand the anatomy of how platforms test your content, well, everything changes. It really all comes down to this number right here, 48. What's absolutely fascinating is that almost every single new piece of content faces this intense make-or-break 48-hour algorithm test window. It's either expanded or it's killed. The algorithm doesn't hate you, it just doesn't know who your audience is yet, especially if you're working with a smaller or maybe inconsistent channel. Every new upload basically starts from zero and gets thrown straight into this ruthless 48-hour crucible. So here's our roadmap for how we're going to solve this massive problem together. We'll hit 1. The 48-hour death trap. 2. Mastering the first 30 seconds. 3. The storytelling secret weapon. 4. How to revive dead content. And 5. The ultimate re-engagement loop. All right, kicking things off with Section 1. The 48-hour death trap. The algorithm's crucible. You really have to think of every piece of content you publish as a living, breathing organism that is literally fighting for survival in its first 2 days. Honest truth, it doesn't matter how many hours you spent editing. If it fails this initial biological test, it's over. The moment you hit publish, the platform shows it to a tiny test group, usually your subs and a few people who watch similar stuff. Then it watches them. Do they click? Do they watch past that crucial 30-second mark? Do they binge another one of your videos right after? If that small group bites, the algorithm pushes it wider. If they ignore it or click away, the system just assumes the content is a dud, halts the reach entirely, and your content is dead. And this brings us to a really crucial realization. Most content doesn't fail because the core material is bad. No way. It fails because the hook just isn't grabbing attention fast enough, right there at the 30-second cliff. Retention data proves this time and time again. The biggest drop-off happens in those first 30 seconds. Think about it. If someone wants a quick tutorial on fixing a car part and you spend the first 30 seconds just rambling with some generic intro, yeah, they are gone. Which leads us perfectly into Section 2. Mastering the first 30 seconds, the inference gap. If you can master those opening moments, you give your content a real fighting chance. Fixing the 30-second cliff completely rewires how the algorithm treats you. And the absolute best way to do that? The inference gap. You see, the 3-second roll is what separates viral hits from dead flops. The biggest mistake creators make is just handing over the answers right away when they really should be creating questions. Instead of boring people by lecturing, like, today I'll show you 3 productivity hacks, you gotta create an inference gap. Try showing yourself in a pitch black room at 6 a.m., then snap straight to 6 p.m. with a perfectly clean desk, pause for 2 seconds, and just say, I stopped doing to-do lists. That, my friends, is the inference gap. It's that unexplained psychological space between what you're showing visually and what the viewer has to figure out. And why does this work like magic? Because human brains literally need to close that gap. They physically cannot scroll away until they figure out how those two scenes connect. The golden rule here is so simple. If a 5-year-old can predict your next sentence, you've already lost them. You have to show an unexplained result in the first 15 seconds and then hold off on the answer for another 10 seconds. Okay, moving right along to Section 3, the storytelling secret weapon, constructing the mystery. So you've survived the first 30 seconds by opening up that inference gap. Awesome. Now we need to equip you with the storytelling weapons that keep viewers locked in for the rest of the ride. Looking at the academic data, we can see exactly which hooks are the most effective. Sure, short videos are great for retaining interest, but you need a powerful trigger up front. That could be anything from a massive visual shock, like a sudden flash of color or crazy movement, to a provocative question that speaks directly to the viewer. The entire goal here is to literally force the audience to stop scrolling. And there's a really wild connection here to historical mystery writers. Seriously, think about historical fiction. The detectives don't have cell phones or DNA databases, right? Those limitations are exactly what creates the narrative tension. While in short-form content, your main limitation is time. You simply don't have the luxury to over-explain. Just like detectives trying to solve a crime, modern viewers are actively looking for clues. You can use the tight constraints of vertical video to build incredible suspense by showing instead of telling and letting the audience deduce the rest. You pull this off by compressing the classic narrative arc into a punchy 60-second micro-story. If you focus strictly on one main idea without totally overwhelming the viewer, you build a highly viral emotional bridge. You hit him with the hook, do a quick setup of the problem, immediately show the climax or the product in action, and then wrap it with an emotional resolution. Boom, you've just delivered a complete, satisfying mystery in under a minute. But what happens when you do all that and the algorithm still shuts you down? That brings us to Section 4, How to Revive Dead Content, Resurrection Spells. Because look, even with stellar storytelling, sometimes things just die after 48 hours. It happens. But here is the ultimate secret. You can actually manually jumpstart that testing phase again. You can revive dead content practically overnight with a few tactical algorithm tweaks. For instance, go in and add timestamps to your description using really specific heavy SEO keywords. Or try seasonal refreshing. If you have a dead piece called Top Side Hustles, just update the title to Best Side Hustles for 2025. That tiny hit of fresh data literally forces the algorithm to reevaluate it. If it's completely flatlined, don't be afraid to just re-edit the first 15 seconds with a punchier hook and re-upload the whole shebang. And lastly, manually build a path for your viewers. Pin links to the dead content in the comments of your top performers, and make sure to link all your related short vertical clips straight back to it. All right, the final piece of the puzzle. Section 5, the ultimate re-engagement loop, push notifications. Once your stuff is finally alive, thriving, and surviving the algorithm, you have to build a system that brings your audience back without driving them completely crazy. You really need to own your audience. Modern platforms do this by ditching generic noise for smart engagement. Blasting out a generic, "We miss you" message to everyone? Yeah, terrible idea. Smart platforms use behavioral segmentation. They track what users actually watch to send hyper-personalized updates. So instead of feeling like corporate spam, they get a ping saying, "Hey, this 30-second mystery got 2 million plays in 24 hours, and 5 people in your network are talking about it." See the difference? It feels like a text from a friend. And you absolutely have to nail this to avoid what's called notification irritation. Generic, annoying pings actively harm you. They cause over 16% of users to literally just uninstall your app or unsubscribe. Winning in the creator economy means realizing that every single ping is pulling a lever on the brain's reward system. If you can combine context, perfect timing, and social proof, you're not just getting a cheap click. You're securing their ultimate currency, human dopamine. You're giving them a genuine, exciting reason to voluntarily jump right back into your ecosystem. So I want to leave you with a question to chew on. If your content is a mystery, what clues are you actually leaving for your audience to solve? Take a hard, honest look at the breadcrumbs you're dropping. Are you just giving all the answers away right up front? Or are you building those irresistible inference gaps that make it literally impossible to look away? Because honestly, mastering this exact anatomy of attention, that is the one thing that separates content that dies in 48 hours from content that builds an absolute unbreakable empire.